defending the free market, and making the moral case for capitalism. The Justin Moore Show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Justin Moore Show, where we make sense of what's going on in this crazy, insane, out of control world. Now, last week in Montana, we actually made the headline news here. You know, everyone was talking about an earthquake in Montana, and you know what? I actually never felt it. So yeah, I'm a very deep sleeper, and I heard some people talk about an earthquake. I'm like, what earthquake? What are you talking about? You know, so so if the super volcano at Yellowstone blows up, I mean, I'm already screwed at this point. But, you know, Al Gore thinks global warming will take us out, or there's so many different things that could just destroy the world. So, you know what? Just live each day like it's your last, and that's the best we can do, right? Well, speaking of which, like, for those of you out there who should be living each day like it's your last, why the hell aren't you going to Freedom Fest? What are you doing? Freedom Fest is coming up next week. I'm flying out Tuesday, and I get back Sunday. I was going to try to get back Saturday, but it looks like the flights are getting pretty full. Well, Saturday afternoon. So I'll just come back Sunday instead, just leave Sunday morning. And so I have to tell you guys, I might not have an episode available for you guys next week when I'm gone. Because right now I'm recording this episode. I'm already way late. It's Friday. I leave in a few days for Freedom Fest. I just got my advanced copy in the mail of Doug Casey's and John Hunt's new book called Drug Lord. And that's a 500-page book. I've got to read that before I get to Freedom Fest. I have another few books I want to try to get done reading here. And I have to say, speaking of this Doug Casey, John Hunt book of the Higher Ground series, did you guys read the first book in the series? It's called Speculator. Because I had Doug Casey on the show last October and John Hunt. Actually, those are the last two interviews I have done on this show. Right now my Skype isn't working, but I also haven't set up any interviews anyway, because I'm just so busy with everything else. But if you guys haven't read Speculator, I'm telling you guys, you seriously need to read it. What they do in these books, and I just started Drug Lord. I'm just barely into it, so I don't, but you can already kind of tell just how they weave in kind of the libertarian sort of narrative into a beautiful story, just like Atlas Shrugged. Atlas Shrugged is an amazing book, and how it ties in the philosophy, and that's exactly what they do in this series. In Drug Lord, the main character becomes, essentially, he's a drug lord. And basically the case they're going to make throughout the book, I'm guessing, is that they're making the case why drugs should be legalized and that sort of thing, which is a libertarian stance on, because a lot of these people, especially conservatives, like, oh my gosh, it sounds so horrible legalizing drugs. But if you really break it down and you look into it, look at the harm that these government policies, these government regulations cause, making drugs illegal. How did the drug cartels in Mexico, where do they get all this money? Where they can fund their gangs? Well, they get it because drugs are illegal. Marijuana mostly, which is becoming a little bit less illegal because of states' action and state legislatures. And then also, heroin. Because people, after they're addicted to prescription drugs, they find a cheaper alternative out there, and that cheaper alternative is heroin. So there's so many unintended consequences of government interference in the markets, which, surprise, surprise, longtime listeners of this show, that's what I point out episode after episode, how the government destroys everything it touches or makes matters worse, the things it's trying to make better. That's exactly what's happened here. So here's the main character who becomes, a drug lord. There's going to be a total of 7 books in the series where they're kind of pointing out occupations that are seen as completely immoral, horrible, horrendous, and they're making kind of the moral case for it. Just like the start of my show, you guys hear, I say defending the free market and making the moral case for capitalism. Well, what Doug Casey and John Hunt do in their book series here, the High Ground series, is they're making the moral case for these occupations that everybody sees as horrible. And so really, they're books that are like, go right along with this show. They're perfect. For listeners of this show, you guys should be reading these books. Reading these books will improve your life. These books are incredible. They're thriller novels. I could definitely see these books as movies. They're just so well done. And these are by guys that we love. John Hunt, Doug Casey. Oh man, these are two great guys. I'll be seeing them next week, and I'm at Freedom Fest. And so guys, please get started on that series there. And I'll let you know how Drug Lord is when I get back from Freedom Fest. We can talk about that. But so far, so good, which I expect nothing less. Now, there's a lot to get to here. And yeah, so I might not have an episode next week because basically I'd have to record an episode in like the next day or so before I leave. And I don't know where I have the time. As I said, I have to try to read Drug Lord, a 500-page book before I go. I want to try and get through another book. I mean, I have so much to do, and I'm trying to do farming stuff, and I'm still working at the airport nights until I leave on Tuesday morning. So I really don't know how I'm going to get it in unless I just can somehow figure it out. I don't know. So just assume for right now there's not going to be one, which that will be the first week ever I have missed on this show since I started it of September of 2014. You know, we're like 150 episodes deep right now. So I'm going to end my streak, it looks like. But, you know, I'm just so busy with so many things, which I was going to make the comment on this show a few months ago, saying like with the new job I have with the Airlines United, saying that maybe I should just go to every other week because stuff is so crazy. But I'm going to get it figured out. I still want to do a weekly show, and I hope to have some interviews for you guys, so it'll make it easier for me too, to help lighten the load, and I can kind of catch up here because I'm just kind of falling behind here, and I don't like it. So we're going to get that all switched around. And there's just so much that's happened. You know, the Federal Reserve last month in June, you know, they raised interest rates. But now it seems, and everyone's thinking, oh my gosh, the Fed, they're getting ready to just keep raising interest rates. They're not holding back. Man, they're ready to get interest rates to normal levels. Well, we got an article here from CNBC.com. And the data that just came out today on Friday, and it says here, after surprisingly weak CPI inflation data, the dollar index sank to a new low, 95.186 Friday, the lowest since September of last year. The dollar's decline was broad-based, falling to a 10-month low against the British pound and a 15-month low against the Australian dollar. It lost 0.5% against the euro. And then just later on in the article, there's this guy that says this. Get this, hold on. This will be quick. I think it will be a delayed process, said Robert Sinche, chief global strategist at Amherst Pierpont. He still expects the dollar to reach 100 at year end, but the currency is no longer ready to step up. He sees support at 95. And the same guy, this is what he says right here. Listen to this. We need inflation more than anything else. The employment numbers don't matter. Growth numbers don't matter. All that matters is inflation, he said. See, these are the clowns we deal with. These so-called experts, these financial experts. Oh, we just don't have enough inflation. And the Fed thinks the same way, a lot of these Fed governors. But that's what's kind of interesting. Like, inflation really hasn't been that impressive. We still haven't reached the 2% inflation goals from the Fed. And the Fed still raised interest rates back in June, which I kind of related that to. And I've said at the very beginning of this year, I saw the Fed raising interest rates twice in 2017 here, because the Fed is a little bit more giddy raising interest rates because it's a political move. Now a Republican is president, Donald Trump, and he's kind of taking credit for the economy. Now, luring on into this, Janet Yellen was in London a few weeks ago, and she made some comments. Actually, right here, this is from Reuters from like 2 weeks ago, end of June. Would I say there will never, ever be another financial crisis? Yellen said at a question and answer event in London. You know, probably that would be going too far, but I do think we're much safer, and I hope that it will not be in our lifetimes, and I don't believe it will be, she said. Okay, wait, so what she just said right there, so Janet Yellen, that's kind of what the headlines have been for people talking about this, that, oh, see, Janet Yellen says there will never be a financial crisis again in our lifetimes. Okay, now, why would she be saying something like this? Okay, first off, you know, everyone says, you know, oh yeah, like the socialists out there, well, yeah, socialism, it hasn't really worked yet because it's never been tried by the right people. You know, you just got to get the right people in charge. Well, you know, partly you can take this comment from Janet Yellen. Well, okay, if we can get the right people in charge, like, hey, look, I'm Janet Yellen. I'm the Fed woman chairperson at the Fed here. And so as long as a person like me is in charge, we're going to get this all figured out. But the reason why she said this, what I think, is because, you know, we had 8 years of Obama. And what did he do? You know, pass the Frank Dodd financial bill. We've regulated our markets much more in just 8 years of Obama. And with Trump at the very beginning of the year, you know, Trump, everyone was thinking that Trump was going to be this guy repealing all these regulations, like kind of like a laissez-faire president, which we haven't seen. You know, and well, I guess you could argue since Reagan, but even him, even Reagan, it was a lot more rhetoric than actual action, you know. But a lot of the Republicans like to point to how great Reagan was and all these things. But it was very limited. But he did do some good. I won't deny that. But so Janet Yellen, with her comments she made here, she doesn't think that we're going to have another crisis in our lifetimes. She's saying this because of the Frank Dodd financial bill, because of these more regulations that we can feel safer. And man, on my show, when it first started, I can't remember what episode this is. It's probably episode 10 or something. It's seriously that far back at the very beginning. I'm pointing out, see, these people who think that now that we have Frank Dodd, the financial bill, we won't have to worry about financial crises anymore. And I made the point on the episode, we will see another financial crisis. More regulations won't stop what's coming. It's actually going to sow the seeds for the next crisis. Well, I guess add on to it. But this is where Janet Yellen's coming from. She naively believes more regulations are the answer. She's a Keynesian. She's a Democrat. She's a big government type. This is how these people think. Oh, we had a problem? We had a financial problem? Oh, we need the right people in charge, and we just need regulations in place that we can kind of contain people's greed. So that's kind of where she's coming from. And actually, this article, continuing on from Reuters, ends up agreeing with me here, basically, and this is what it says. Yellen said it would not be a good thing if reforms of the financial service industry since the crisis were unwound, and urged those who had helped manage the fallout at the time to be vocal in preventing such a dilution. See, so with Janet Yellen's comments here, so she's making the point, she's protecting herself. She's hedging her bets by saying that we won't see another financial crisis in our lives by, well, if we do have another financial crisis, well, that's because of people like Donald Trump. They went and they unwound some of this Frank Dodd financial bill, these bills that the Democrats put in place to protect us. These damn Republicans are the ones who, it's going to get back to deregulation. Remember Glass-Steagall? And there's deregulation caused the financial crisis. It's the same sort of stuff. She's setting all this up. And then right here, this is Janet Yellen. We think it will be appropriate for the attainment of our goals to raise interest rates very gradually to levels that are likely to remain quite low, although there is uncertainty about this to remain low by historical standards for a long time, she said. Okay, so Janet Yellen now, she doesn't seem as giddy to raise interest rates like she realized, maybe, I have been raising them quite a bit, but let's see what's going on here. And this is how I started the show here, how inflation data is coming out below what the experts thought they were going to. So inflation is certainly not a problem. And Janet Yellen's been pointing out that, we have a tight labor market. We're going to start to see inflation. So, it's a good time to raise interest rates, but we're not seeing that. So, and all based on her. Now, don't get me wrong. And don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. The Fed should be raising interest rates. Hell, if we had it my way, the Fed would have no say in what interest rates should be. Interest rates would be set by the market through supply and demand, depending on the amount of savings in the economy, and also determined by what are people's preferences, time preferences, what are people's demand for money in the economy. All that plays into what affects the interest rates, but the Federal Reserve artificially sets the rates. And actually, I have this is just from 2 days ago from CNN Money, and basically Janet Yellen, she's kind of taken back her comments that she made back in London about the financial crisis thing. And it says, the Federal Reserve chairwoman who was testifying on Capitol Hill before the Senate Banking Committee Thursday said she should have been more careful 2 weeks ago in London when she suggested that she didn't believe there would be another financial crisis in the decades to come. What I should have stated originally, this is Janet Yellen speaking, what I should have stated originally when I made that comment, I believe we have done a great deal since the financial crisis to strengthen the system and make it more resilient, said Yellen during an exchange with Senator Sherrod Brown, the top Democrat on the panel. Okay, there we go. What she just said. She's taken back her comments, but she's pointing out her belief, her faith, Janet Yellen's faith, is not in the free market, but it's in government. And government regulations, yes, they're the answer. And I've done episodes on the show talking about how government regulations, they have unintended consequences. The things that these government types think they're fixing, like with minimum wages, all these little things that increase the barriers to entry of certain jobs, or like look at the medical field. You have the AMA, they limit the amount of doctors out there. Well, what's part of the reason that medical care is so expensive? Well, why are we limiting the supply of doctors into the system? We're purposely limiting the amount of doctors out there. Why? Oh, well, you don't want some average schmo doing operations on you, do you? Well, in a free market, reputation goes a long way. So if you're a guy who's cutting off the wrong legs and limbs and that sort of thing, and so now instead of a guy being just a single amputee, he's now a double amputee, that guy's not going to be in business very long. So people kind of, instead of people doing their homework like they would in a free market, like you do with anything else where you're paying for it, look at the internet in general, look at how many different services are available there. And before I buy anything on the internet or like through Amazon, you know what I'm doing? I'm reading reviews on the product. So I'm finding the product that has the best reviews, the product that has the best reputation. We don't need government regulations to, make sure that we make the right decisions and protect us. The free market has built-in incentives to protect the consumers. And one of the best regulators out there is competition. Competition, reputation, right there. But people like Janet Yellen, they don't believe in that. They believe in government regulations. That government regulations are always the answer. The average Democrat out there, that's what they believe. Hell, the average Republican, a lot of them believe in, we need more regulations here and there. But yeah, we need to deregulate these certain industries. But no, in general, they kind of agree with Democrats on a lot of this stuff. And that's why you look on both sides of the aisle there in Washington, D.C., we always have bills passed because the politicians on both sides of the aisle, they generally agree that, we need to protect the consumer. Got to protect our voters. I need more votes. And also you have playing into this is the special interest groups that donate to these guys' campaigns. Oh, okay, if I can pass this bill, that will help out my huge campaign donor. And just all these lobbyists. I mean, it's just a giant cluster over there in D.C. But the average person doesn't understand how it works. But just understand this. And you guys already do understand this. But the average schmo out there who doesn't listen to the show, they don't know this. That these politicians who are saying they're here to help you, to protect you, they're doing nothing of the sort. All they are doing is they're trying to enrich themselves and their friends. Well, they want to enrich their friends just so they can enrich themselves. So it all comes down to them. That is how it works. But in general, everybody has a self-interest. That's true. But we can't be naive. We need to understand that everybody has a self-interest. So why can't we have a system that's more based on the individual? Well, there is one. It's called capitalism. It's called the free market. But we don't embrace it. We need to get back to that. And, guys like Doug Casey and John Hunt who are writing books as a way to hopefully kind of influence the thinking on this, to bring people back to capitalism by making the moral case for different lines of work that are seen as horrible, crude. A speculator. Oh man, oil prices, when they went up in 2008, people were blaming George W. Bush and blaming Dick Cheney and Halliburton and the evil speculators because they are speculating on higher prices, and it's what the hell you call it? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you keep getting higher and higher prices because of these speculators. Actually, the speculators are what help keep prices so they don't fluctuate so much. Because you got speculators on both sides of the trade. They're the ones who make it long-term. Things are more stable. And we need speculators out there. We need people who are willing to risk their capital. And some of those people out there, they're going to be right. Some speculators are horribly wrong. Those speculators out there who are continually wrong time and time again, all that capital they had, they're now broke. So they can no longer be a speculator unless they somehow make their money back and they can start doing it again. But the people who are the best speculators out there, like Doug Casey, he's made his millions and millions of dollars by speculating in gold and silver mostly, and just commodities in general. Rick Rule, same thing. A lot of these guys, they are legends in the industry of speculating. And it's like to read a book called Speculator by a guy who's literally a legend in the gold industry. There's just so much different elements in that book. And then you also learn about investing in gold mines at the same time, what to look for. But it's all wrapped into a beautiful story, just like Atlas Shrugged was written in this beautiful story, tied love story and economics and philosophy. It's just brilliant what they're doing. And I really applaud what they're doing, and I'd really hope more of you out there pick up their book because they need to look. they need to be congratulated in terms of increase in monetary value for writing such a wonderful book series. So anyway, guys, that is all I have for you today on this episode of the Justin Moore Show. Again, I don't think I will have an episode next week, but who knows? I might be able to try to pull one out here before I leave and still squeeze in everything else I got to get done. But please, guys, I hope I can see you at Freedom Fest. Come say hi. I'll be around. I'm going to be super busy at Freedom Fest, though. I mean, I've got a lot of things planned. And so you guys, if you could, just go to my website, go to justinmoreshow.com, Moore spelled M-O-H-R. If you want to donate to the show, PayPal, I'll send you my bonus episodes. I just released my new bonus episode, Secrets to Vegas, and credit cards I use. Best way to get the best return back for your money by using credit cards instead of cash, but using credit cards smartly. And also, if you buy your goods through Amazon, I get a small commission back on any goods that you buy through Amazon by clicking on my link from my website. So if you can do that or join Tom Wood's Liberty Classroom, I get a small commission back on that. And it's a way you can also learn how to become a better libertarian or just understand history better in general, economics, all the sort of stuff you find on this show, and there's much more. And just all sorts of stuff. Even Doug Casey himself teaches a course on logic, which more people out there kind of need some logic. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, guys, I thank you so much for being here. I will talk with all you, maybe not next week, but the week after. And I'm looking forward to it. This is Justin Moore, signing off.